Friday is here again, and that means we are back in your feed with another Friday 5 episode. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and you are listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast. This is our weekly recap of 5 things you should know about. We are focusing on technology this week as Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference wraps up and has left us eagerly awaiting the next version of every Apple operating system, from iPadOS to watchOS and Mac Sonoma, and especially iOS 17. So that is where we will begin our list. Coming in at number 1. Now, I mentioned this one on Instagram earlier this week because I see the value in it for insurance agents communicating with clients. Contact posters are an iOS 17 feature coming to iPhones that will allow you to customize the screen representing you on other iPhones. You can customize the font and upload a photo of yourself or your Memoji so that the person you're calling knows it's really you. Users currently have the ability to assign their own photos to contacts, but this is a lot more convenient. Contact posters also function as a digital contact card. So in addition to those customizations and phone number, you can add your other forms of contact information. Some of the info comes up on the screen when you call another iPhone user with iOS 17. And then going back to the days of bumping iPhones, you can exchange contact posters in a similar fashion, just with no bumping required. They will transfer nicely over AirDrop, which has also been improved in iOS 17. My first thought on this when it came out, I see the potential to cut down on spam calls and get us back in the habit of answering our phones. But contact posters are an iOS 17 exclusive, so you'll need family, friends, and clients to also be updated if you plan to use this feature this AEP. It's a pretty cool security upgrade, and I think if it's done well, I would love to see this technology be available across all mobile operating systems, not just Apple. Number 2. On the subject of getting back to answering our phones, this next update takes us one step further from the Flintstones and one step closer to the Jetsons. FaceTime will get an upgrade to allow for audio and video voicemail messages. I have never been happier that my mom has an iPhone because now my daughter and I will be able to send her all of the silly FaceTime videos we want to as often as we like. We have a habit of calling people on their birthdays to sing to them, and I love that this will allow us to do that and leave a message for them while we're in the moment. And of course, there are just times when you are really in the moment. You really want to connect and maybe show Granny something cool. This allows for that in a little bit more of a connective way than just capturing and sending a video. It's a little more personal. But it doesn't have to just be for family and friends. I love this feature as a way to connect with clients. Of course, I have to add the disclaimer of making sure you stay compliant, have permission to contact, and are following CMS rules. But this is just a personal touch that can go over very well when used appropriately. Number 3, we've got a few behavioral health features, some that will launch with iOS 17 in the fall, and another that comes a little bit later. Inside the Mindfulness app, iPhone users will be able to track emotions and moods. This feature starts off with a prompt to describe how you're feeling right now by finding a mood on a spectrum of emotion between very unpleasant on the left and very pleasant on the right. When you make your selection, the tracker further narrows down your mood by asking you to choose a word that describes that feeling. After that, you choose from a set of impact factors. Then you tap Done to log your mood. And since the tracker lives in the health app, as you continue to log your mood data, the app will populate this data alongside other health input like sleep or fitness apps, to name 2 examples. Mood tracking will also be able to be completed on Apple Watches through the Mindfulness app, and that will also report the data back to the health app on your iPhone. Coming later in the year, which I take to mean coming to an update for iOS 17, not coming at the time of its launch, Apple will release their Journal app, which will pull together all sorts of personal data on the iPhone to allow users to create their own digital diary. Journal will use the media on your phone to generate writing prompts, or suggestions, as Apple calls them. Apple plans to open up suggestions to developers of third-party apps. So, say you had a workout goal that you've been striving for, and the developer of that fitness app has a suggestion tied to that milestone. You might get a suggestion to journal about how you feel about reaching that particular goal. Users will be able to control what data goes into journal suggestions. So if that's something you're interested in, you can take part and use it. And if not, you should be able to tweak those controls. And again, the Journal app is planned for release in 2023, while the mood tracker is set for release when iOS 17 launches. Number 4, this next feature did not get an official announcement or screen time during the WWDC keynote. Apple actually talked about them in a May accessibility preview, and that had me worried that it was not going to make it into iOS 17. After a little bit of research, though, I can confirm that personal voice will be included in the iOS 17 release, as well as another feature called live speech. We mentioned personal voice in our Friday 5 episode 2 weeks ago. That is the voice banking feature that will record your voice for use on your iPhone in less time and no cost compared to traditionally pricey voice banking services. Personal voice will require about 15 minutes of speaking time, and in total, the whole process should take iPhone users about an hour, compared to a service that typically takes weeks and costs money. For people who have a condition that could potentially affect their voice, this is a great technology that allows users to bank their own voice. So if they do lose the ability to speak, wholly or partially, the banked voice can still represent them in a much more personal way than a robot-like voice. And then for people like me who use their voices for a living, well, think of this as voice insurance. But there's another very cool feature that's coming to iOS 17 that utilizes your banked personal voice, and that is live speech. iPhone users with a personal voice will be able to type to speak in communication apps. So phone, FaceTime, and then third-party apps that support this new functionality as well. Again, similar to the FaceTime voicemail messages, I love the personal touch this adds to communication. Very excited for live speech and personal voice. Definitely going to review those features here on the show and perhaps even interview my personal voice just to document and capture the difference if there is one. Number 5, in addition to these features, there were a lot of other mentions in Monday's keynote. The one that probably got the most hype was Apple Vision Pro, the spatial computer, or 3D camera, as Apple is calling it. They're basically calling it everything but an AR or a VR headset, even though that is the category most of us would probably place it in. As much of an Apple fan as I am, I think it's early days for that. The price tag is a little steep. I wear glasses, so that's an additional cost. And there are quite a few prohibitive factors for me to adopt this one early on. Give it another couple generations and I might be convinced. I do think Apple brought a lot of interesting considerations to the design of Apple Vision Pro, but for now, it's a no for me. Other features worth noting: stickers are getting a little more organization and will be easier to use, more readily available to place them into conversations. Emojis will be available as 3D stickers. We'll be able to create stickers from objects we crop out of photographs, and then users will also be able to add effects to stickers. So you will be able to create a holographic foil digital sticker of a pet cat and place it in your group chat. It's what we've always wanted, I know. Standby mode lets iOS 17 users personalize a landscape version of their phone, turning it into a display for information during the day and an alarm clock at night. I will definitely need to grab a magnetic stand to get the view shown in the feature preview during Monday's event. And thankfully, the exact version they highlighted in that video isn't that expensive. According to the Mac Rumors forum, the stand featured in the preview video is the Forte MagSafe stand from 12 South, and those run at about $40 each, so not too expensive. Still have to figure out how to mount the charging cable so that my cats will not eat it. Last but not least, this one's not exactly in the vein of communicating more, but perhaps communicating more efficiently with voicemail screening. Back in the days of answering machines, screening your calls was a thing, and you could choose to interrupt someone's voicemail by just picking up the phone. Now you'll be able to do that on your iPhone. Voicemails will come through as text on screen with the ability to pick up the call in the midst of someone leaving you a voicemail message. And if you're concerned about privacy, understandable. Transcription actually happens on the device rather than being sent through the filter of a third-party app. So there's no copy of your voicemails being created and stored elsewhere. All of that happens on your phone. Now, again, these are the features that I am most excited about, but they are certainly not a complete list of everything Apple announced on Monday. We will be linking to the iOS 17 previews in the notes, as well as previews for iPadOS, watchOS, and Mac Sonoma, so be sure to check those out. Rupel recommends. 2 more quick things that I have to shout out this week. 1, we've got a new limited edition flavor of Coca-Cola coming. Ultimate Coca-Cola is a League of Legends gaming tie-in, and it's supposed to taste like XP, or leveling up in a game. I love the creativity coming out of Coke these days as they're marketing these limited edition flavors. It is very conceptual marketing, and that is not an easy feat to get that messaging right. But Ultimate Coke will be available in regular, full sugar flavor, and then also the Coke Zero version. And then second, another limited edition beverage. McDonald's is celebrating the 52nd birthday of Grimace, the fuzzy purple monster who is best friends with Ronald McDonald. To honor the occasion, they've created a pastel purple berry-flavored shake, and you can add a medium fry and a Big Mac or 10-piece McNugget to make it his official meal. It's the stuff of dreams, as long as you do not look at the original version of Grimace from 1971, when he had 4 arms. That is the stuff of nightmares. Both of these drinks are due out on Monday, June 12th, and when I'm able to try them, I will be posting my thoughts and a picture on Instagram, so check out my page there. Follow along for more fun behind-the-scenes ASG podcast content. That is all we've got for you this week. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. And we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Vivian Zhao. Follow along with us wherever you like to listen.